Hello and welcome to Viewpoints. I'm Bill Wickers. Today we're here with Ed Welch, a recent Zimbardo Award winner from the Center for Homeland Defense and Security. Ed's thesis is on preventing school shootings, a public health approach to gun violence. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you, Bill. Pleasure to be here.
So what directed you towards your research?
I've always been interested in gun violence throughout my professional career, and given the opportunity to pursue it academically in a theoretical thesis, I pursued gun violence to investigate gun violence. As the world has become more complex, the Homeland Security enterprise has had to take on more complex problems and solve them. And the Homeland Security enterprise has become leaner, more efficient, and solve wicked problems more quickly. And so by taking the Homeland Security collaborative approach to gun violence and apply it to school shootings, I was able to come up with some concepts that could be applied in the real world to reduce gun violence and school shootings in general.
Is this a public safety approach that you address in your thesis, or is this a community approach?
It's considered a whole of community approach because clearly the police have a leadership role in planning and executing violence prevention programs, but also educators and administrators, public officials, elected officials, all have a role to play in reducing gun violence in our communities, on our streets, in our universities. And I take the public health approach because it is the whole of community concepts that we're interested in engaging to have a collaborative learning environment as well, so that elected officials and police executives are working together to solve these complex problems.
And as far as a public health approach, could you just delve into that a bit more? What do you mean by a public health approach?
A public health approach focuses on prevention. It engages the whole of community, whether it be gun advocates or anti-gun groups. It doesn't stigmatize or marginalize any one group, but it encourages all groups to come in and have a collaborative conversation as to what works best for their communities. Obviously, the crime issues and gun issues in New York City are quite different than they are in South Dakota or more rural environments. So there's something for everybody in controlling gun violence, and not just the saving of lives and the hundreds of thousands of people who are injured every year, but it also goes to making communities safer for other crimes as well and reducing all crimes.
And the public health approach, what do you see as the practical value of your research?
To save lives. I believe that there are many things that we could do much better, not just in law enforcement, but in our engagement with the community. I solicit people to use the whole of community concepts that I articulate in my thesis in order to be better prepared for active shooters and generally violence in general that occurs on college and university campuses.
And when you talk about the public health approach, what specific approach does public health use that you were able to research?
Well, I use a concept called Hayden's Matrix, named after William Hayden, who is considered the father of injury prevention. He was the first administrator for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And he developed a temporal matrix that looks at injury prevention in three phases: a pre-injury phase, an injury phase, and post-injury phase. And it's focused on prevention. So at those three levels, there's always ways to reduce injuries and death, either through behavior or product modification approaches. And so I apply what Dr. Hayden did in injury prevention in automobiles to school shootings.
Did you see a difference between rural and urban areas when you were looking at the public health approach?
I focused on colleges and universities. My thesis has 32 mass murders on college and university. It's a problem that dates back to 1853 in America. I also looked at some international school shootings in Israel and Russia to inform the reader that these are the type of problems that public officials are going to have to address in their planning and preparation for school shootings and gun violence in general. Israel did a very good job showing that severity, certainty, and celerity really had an impact on reducing school shootings. They hadn't had a school shooting for 34 years. Russia, by the same token, had significant issues in addressing the Beslan shooting, and I compare and contrast those two endeavors so that planners in America can understand the scope of the problems that they'll have to deal with in order to come up with a comprehensive plan to prevent school shootings. I have about 36 proposals for universities and communities to select, because one size doesn't fit all, in order to solve whatever particular gun violence problem they're having, whether it be active shooters or street encounters, whatever it might be. Gun violence is a pernicious problem in colleges and universities and communities. There's over 32,000 gun deaths a year. That comes down to about 8 a day. But there's also over 300,000 violent crimes committed with guns every year that my thesis addresses through the Hayden's Matrix.
Well, congratulations. I'm looking forward to reading it, and congratulations on the Zimbardo Award. It's quite an honor.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.